Good afternoon, EL 120 class. This is Scott Sexton again. Your friendly neighborhood hillbilly. We're going to do our little lecture for the day. We're going to talk about a specific code in the book. We've been kind of working through the book from the front to the back. You guys have seen some stuff on a little bit of grounding, lots of definitions. Well, in those definitions, we've talked about boxes. Okay, and if any of you read further through, or this is a additional course that you need to take, you'll be familiar with the codes of 314, uh, section 314.16, specifically whenever you start talking about box sizing. And that's what our exercise is about today. Is we're going to talk about how to calculate uh, the box fill or the type of box that you need to have, or just to be able to know how many box wires you can literally put in a box before you break code. Now, in this example, this will be a uh, junction box that will be on the wall. Okay, and that this junction box could potentially have wires going in any direction. Uh, right now, I would like for you to look up, get your code books out, and look for a table 314.16a. You'll find that in the 2023 book on page 196. Now, a lot of the stuff that you guys have learned, very rarely do you run into it unless you're in specific conditions. Now, one of the things that you will need to know and be able to kind of run in your head how many wires you can get in a spot or into a box is the box fill. That's one of the things, that's the low hanging fruit that the inspectors will come looking for to be able to give you a red tag, to be able to make you change or whatnot. Um, Again, this particular exercise we're looking at is a junction box that's in a wall that could have multiple different conduits coming into it. Okay. So let's look at 314.16a. What you'll see here, and I've got it looking over here on my side. What you'll see here is a uh, multiple different column chart. As you've seen, you're working in the book, you've seen these charts. Okay. So what these boxes that we're going to start with are round or octagonal boxes, and that's basically the shape of them. And it'll be basically 4 inches diagonal in the round by 1.25 inches deep. Okay. Uh, this in here says it's what the minimum volume allowance in cubic inches. Okay, is 12 and a half. So if you look, you see this number here. This one says if all the conductors are the same, you can put 8 18s in one of these little octagonal boxes. They don't have a lot of volume in them. Okay, what your available volume is. And as you go through these boxes, the bigger the box gets, or the different style of box from a 4 square box, which is the standard 4 inches by 4 inches box that you're gonna see in the trade. Normally, round and octagonal boxes, you'll utilize those for light fixtures and whatnot. But as you come through here, you'll see we have three different availabilities or for three different options for a 4 square box. But this 4L, that 4L stands for 4 and 11/16. So one dimension will measure 4 and 11/16, and the other will measure 4 and 11/16. And it directly shows you, if you look at the volume for a four square by 1.25 inches, 18, and your 4 square or 4 and 11/16 by 1.25 inches is 25.5 cubic inches. Now we're talking about the volume of the conductor, okay, not a cross sectional area. Cross sectional area, whenever you're looking at it, you're looking on the end of the conductor, and we are looking at what this area is on the inside of it in one particular spot of a long conductor. What I'm talking about is the actual conductor itself in volume, and it allowance for like the whole conductor in there. Okay, and it's just the wire that comes in. and you basically factor it on cubic inches. Okay, so let's go back. That just kind of is an example. Here's a reference of this one right here. We're going to call it a 4 square, and we're going to call it 1.5 inches deep. Okay, let's go back on this one. This guy says 4 square, 1.5 inches deep is 29.5. Okay, that's about the amount of wires that you can get into that thing to be able to make it work out. It seems a little different whenever you say what your minimum volume is. Okay, and when you start doing the math on it, it does kind of work out. So let's look at this. Uh, We're going back over to here. If you look at 31416B, as this references is, it's going to be B1 in your 2023 book. This says what the allowable space you should have in a box for each conductor. Okay, is 1.5 cubic inches. Normally we're working with 14s and 10s. Sometimes we're pardon me 12s and 10s. Sometimes we get into 14s. A lot of the residential guys use a lot of 14 wire for switch legs. It just eliminates a little bit of the volume because it's a 0.25 cubic inches less to use a 14 than it is a 12. And here in a second, I'll explain to you how that would all work. So let's look at how they consider this. I would like for everyone to go back to your code. And part of the assignment is I want you to look through section Article 314 and tell me where in the code how I come up with my free conductors in this box. Okay. And I can tell you it will be in part 2 under 31416 under B. Could very well say conductor fill. I want you to read that yourselves. Okay. And then here I'm going to explain to you how this works. So you guys have had time to read it. Each conductor that originates outside the box and terminates or is spliced within the box shall be counted once. Each conductor that passes through the box without a splice or termination shall be counted once. Each loop of unbroken conductor not less than twice the minimum length required for free conductors in 300.14, which is basically 6 inches, shall be counted twice. The conductor fill shall be calculated using table 31416B1. A conductor, no part of which leaves the box shall not be counted. A conductor at which no part which leaves the box shall not be counted. So if you have a jumper inside the box tying a one wire that comes in here and another wire that comes in here, and you jumper that box with a wire from here to here, that wire doesn't get counted. Okay. So let's talk about what that says. It talks about any conductor that does not, let's read it back through, each conductor that originates outside the box and terminates or splices within the box shall be counted once. So that's the same as this wire in this conduit. I have 3 wires coming out of this conduit. And I have 3 wires coming out of this conduit. This would count as a 6-wire volume. 1 volume for each one of these, meaning volume when I say, well, let's say they're all number 18s for just simplicity. that are coming in this box. That means I need to have an allowance of 1.50 cubic inches for each one of the 18s. So in this case, it's 1.5 cubic inches times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wires. That means I need to have, whoop, a box that will at least hold 9 of the cubic inches worth of volume. Okay, so if we go back over here, any standard box that we have will let me take at least 9 wires. So that means I have, or pardon me, a 9 cubic inches of fill. That means I literally have 9 more cubic inches of fill before I've maxed this guy out. So I could double the amount of these wires. So now let's say I have a wire that comes in this pipe. Stand by. That comes in this pipe and just passes through. Well, any count on that, whenever you look at the code, it says uh, each and each conductor that passes through the box without a splice or termination shall be counted once. So I could literally have 3 more of these just passing through. Okay. Or if any one of these I wanted to, I could put a loop in them as long as it's not any longer than 6 inches. All I'd have to have is 1 more volume allowance. So it would be the same as this times 3 wires. And any of you that do math in your head, you already have this number of 4.5. So, with that being said, right now, 4, or pardon me, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and a half. 13 and a half cubic inches is what I've got to have minimum inside of this box to be able to have it in code. And we said we were at 13 and a half. That means that still yet I'm in code here. I would have to go to 1.5 inch deep box on the octagonal, but we know we have the one that we have is an 1.5 inch deep box. That means that I have 21 cubic inches total of volume, less the 13. I have 7.5 cubic more inches before I have that box is considered full. Okay. Now, I hope everybody understands what this basically means. So what we can do here is if I want you to read the code, okay, and it reading the entire section of 314. It talks about the outlet and device and pull and junction boxes. If you note, the question for the day for attendance had to do with the difference between an outlet and a receptacle and how they relate to each other. Okay, so with that being said, I'd like for you to take the opportunity right now. On the screen, you have these 4 questions. Okay, these 4 questions you'll be able to pull directly out of your chart. For example, uh, the 8 number 12s. Okay, what size of box will be needed for 8 number 12s? Because we calculated when we were figuring out how many wires are coming to our box. So I said, all right, we got a total of 8 wires coming into this guy. Okay, so that could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's all of those coming in and making joints and coming back out with the wire nut. Now, they'll all be separate wire nuts, of course, but that's the idea behind it. So this will be 8 number 12s. We know that a number 12 has a volume allowance of 2.25. So whenever I get questions like this, I'll go ahead and go do like this. I'll pull my calculator out and I'll say, hey, let's do all my calculations and then I'll figure out what size my box is going to be. So I have 2.25 times 8 conductors. So I need a box that's at least 18 inches. So what about 6 number 8s? Same thing there. My number 8s are 3 volume. So it's 6 times 3. You have 6 number 8s times 3 volume. I need another box that's 18 inches. How about this one? Can you guys do this before I can get it done? I bet you got math wizards out there can. Okay. 23 number 8s. Go back to your chart. Or pardon me, those are number 18s. So number 18 is 1.5 inch volume. Let's do our math. We had 23 of those. That's going to take a bigger box. 34.5 cubic inches that'll be needed for that particular box. That's going to be a great big box. Can we find a box right quick? Oh, wow. That's all that is a 411/16. One of those. That'll take care of it. Right there, standard, right off the shelf, and it still leaves you some volume left. Yeah, 34.5. So you guys see how this is? It's just a matter of taking it and figuring out what size of wires you have coming into it and what size you have going out. Let's go back here. Uh, again, 6 number 12s. We know the number 12 is a 2.25. 2 point a volume allowance times 6. Anybody got math wizards out there? 13.5 again. Just like I'm at the whiteboard, I'd be erasing stuff as I do it because I make mistakes like I'm standing there, and much less with this mouse. So you guys bear with me. So this guy's right here is going to have 13.5 cubic inches going to be required for it. 13.5, we can go with one of our simple standard 1.25 inch deep uh, 4 square boxes. Now, electrician's trick. What happens whenever I have a bad problem and somebody didn't think about what we do here? Okay, what somebody didn't think about the wire volumes, and I have this. I have 1, 2, 3 wires going through, and all the wires are number 12 in this bundle. I have 1, 2, 3 going straight through because it's just a pull point. But I just happen to have some other stuff going on to it too. So I got 3 more here. So I got 6 number 12s passing through one volume. Now one of these conduits has got some number 10s. And they come in and then they make a fine fancy joint and they come right on out. That's a wire nut. And it does that 3 times. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 number 10s. And somehow or another, somebody decided it was a great idea. They were going to put some more wire in through this box. Okay. And I'm not sure why they were doing it, but somebody decided to put some number 8s into this box. And they brought in these number 8s and they made joints in those too. And now those guys, that's a bigger wire than a number 12. And sometimes that just is hard to deal with. Those wire nuts take up a lot of room. And that wire takes up a lot of room. So now because they made those joints in there, I have 6 number 8s. So the math whiz is out there. You guys have already started doing your calculations because you've been actually going with me as I'm doing this, and you're going, wow, I don't know that I see a big enough box to do this. So let's kind of do the math, shall we? So I have number 12s right here, 2.25 times 6, 13 and a half. How about now my number 10s? What's my volume allowance? That's a 2.5. So I have 6 times 2.5. There's another 15 to it. Now I got these 6/8. Wow, what am I going to do? Those are 3 volumes per. Did I do that right? 6 times 8. I guess that's 48, isn't it? Guys, I don't know what we're going to do here. No, I made a mistake. That's incorrect. See, Keats, you're supposed to go, hey, man, it's 6 times 3. 18, not 48. It's okay. So now I got a total 13.5, 15, 18. I got a total of 46.5. Okay, 46.5 cubic inches. Now let's go back. We've got to remember that number, 46.5. I don't have anything on this chart. What do we do? Well, believe it or not, there's a thing called an extension ring. And this extension ring gives you very close to the same volume allowance that the box does because the same extension ring is built the same depth, 1.5 inches, built the same way. It just doesn't have a back on it. And it basically mounts directly to it via the screws that you have there and there for cover plates. And that basically will extend your volume out and make you into code compliance because you gain another, depending on the size of the box, for 11/16 extension ring, or 1.25 inches deep, I do believe. You gain another 25. An extension ring for a 4 square itself, I do believe. I'd have to go back and find it. We had to specifically find from the vendor what their stamped cubic inches are on them because it's not standard in this. Um, yes, but we're looking at 18 cubic inches. So if I have a 30 and 8, that's 48, and I needed how many? I erased it all. Anyway, I was needing a very lot. So in the end, there are ways around these things. If you can factor what you're going to do before you make your plan, work your plan, before you get to going on this, you won't have problems when it comes time for the inspector to come back and through and say, hey, why is there so many wires coming into there? Okay, so because sometimes they'll have you open this box and they'll want to see what's going on inside of there. They want to be able to see that you've made plenty of room to be able to for expansion of heat and for dissipation of heat. Okay, again, I have got these several different questions over here. I would like for you to finish these out utilizing the same process that I showed you. Utilize this. Don't worry about the metric. Don't worry about this. This is the one you want to use. Okay. If there's any questions, you guys let me know. There'll be some additional questions past the video, and I'll try to have this uploaded by late tonight. If not, it'll be tomorrow afternoon. I'll leave this open until Saturday night, and this is something that this is actually part of your competency. I need to know that you understand how we're coming about this, that each conductor itself has got a minimum allowances inside of the box so you can make sure you're not packing the box too tight and making an unsafe situation. All right. Thank you very much. And you guys have a wonderful day.